Well, it's going to be a heck of a day, huh? You all ready for this? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Welcome to all the new folks. We've got a lot of new people joining lately, both on the YouTube channel and on the Patreon channel, and it's great to have you. Um, Boy, it's like Chuck Norris used to say, you're going to hit you with so many rights, you're going to be begging for a left, right? Well, it just seems like one thing after another is coming our way, and it's hard to keep track of them. But you don't have to keep track of exactly what they're doing. You have to keep track and pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, because preparedness is what it's all about. And if you're prepared for total chaos, you're going to be prepared for all of the little things that are on the way to that, right? So, hey, by the way, did you all see the? I don't know if you all on YouTube have seen this yet. The people on Patreon have. The new mug, Missed Me Suckers. It's not available quite yet, but it'll probably be up on the website later today, as soon as my web guy. It was just his 18th birthday, so I gave him his birthday off as soon as he gets it up on the website. This will be up, the latest mug on from stonemont.us. I like this one, man. You like that? Yeah, let me take a drink and we'll get started on this. So, war is impending. We'll see what happens in Israel and Iran and all that. Something's going to happen. It's not a matter of is if anything going to happen. It's a matter of what's going to happen, to what extent. We know that there's going to be retaliation from Iran, and then Israel's they're gonna bring it. I think. We will see. I mean, these things over in the Middle East, like I said, I've been watching this stuff since the late 60s, early 70s. The people on the Patreon channel, by the way, got to hear my story about about my introduction to the IDF and the world of terrorism in the 70s, back in the PLO days, and the hijackings and Carlos the Jackal and the Red Brigades and Bader Meinhof, the really what started the modern day, how should we say, the terrorism of the modern day, right? So that was, if you're not on Patreon with us, the link is down below. I put a lot of the personal stuff over there that I don't put on YouTube. I put a lot of stuff not personal on Patreon that I don't put on YouTube, simply because YouTube doesn't like it. And why waste my time putting it on YouTube when I can put it over on Patreon for the people who care enough to pay $1 a month, right? So that was my interest in the Middle East has been very strong since the 70s. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. Whether it's going to pull us into it, well, we're into it. I mean, we are, even though our current administration is not a great friend of Israel. And as a matter of fact, since the Democrat candidate, it seems, for president, Kamala Harris, she seems to be a big supporter of the Palestinians, which means Hamas, which means Hezbollah, which means Iran. I mean, Uncle Joe gave Iran, how many billions of dollars did he give Iran, right? So America is in an interesting place that it's never been before. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that. We fully expect something to happen today. This is Monday, the 5th of August. If it doesn't happen today, tomorrow. But I wouldn't doubt it'll happen today. Now, on top of that, we have, of course, the recent financial news. The markets are headed down. They're just taking a bath. They're expecting, now Friday, it already started heading down, and I've been warning about this for a while. Jobs numbers came in not near what they needed to be. Inflation continues, even though they ensure that inflation is slowing. When inflation has been roaring at the rate it's been for the last 2 or 3 years, a slowing of an increase is not necessarily good news. We need to turn this around. The people who are hurting are still hurting. Inflation going down half a tick when it's still going at a good clip is not success, even though they're trying to paint it as success. So today the markets are tanking. I forget the latest. I won't try to quote it on here, but I've been keeping track of the markets on CNBC, and it doesn't look like a good day. It's we're gonna end up. Did you see that Buffett? He dumped a bunch of Apple stock. I think he cut his Apple holdings in half, and now Berkshire Hathaway is holding a record. I believe it is $277 billion in cash. Do you all have that much? I don't. You know, everything tastes better out of one of our new mugs, right? So yeah, it was interesting. You know, when Buffett gets out of the market, that means that he sees the markets are going to do something that he doesn't like. And so, you know, for those of you who have a lot of money in the markets, whether you do it individually or whether you have it through a 401k or whatever you have it, I expect you're going to be taking a hit on this. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I took all my money out of the markets a couple of years ago. I just saw what was coming. Now, yeah, I missed out on a couple of years. This is a little not financial advice, just my opinions on things, which I do okay, and you might want to listen. Yeah, I missed a lot of growth, you know, but the market is so fickle, can be so fickle. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I invested that money in my own businesses, which I suggest people do. And I've made a lot more doing that than I have from what the market would have done. But for those of you who still have a lot of money in the market, if you can withdraw it, well, you know, take a look at it. I'm not telling you what to do, but take a look at whether or not you think you want to leave it in the market right now, or whether you want to take some profits out. You know, yeah, I know you can pay taxes on it, you know, whatever, but that's the way of the world. That's why I suggest, and I'm not going to get into business here because a lot of people on the Preparedness channel don't like to talk about money or business, and that's a shame because it's such an important part of your preparedness. Maybe I'll talk about that more on the Prepping for Prosperity channel. But I put it into my businesses. I don't leave it up. You know, everything's an investment. If you expect it to return an increase on your money, you know, that's the difference between an expense and an investment. So anyway, back to what's happening today. Hurricane has hit, Hurricane Debbie, down in Florida. It's not a big one. It's a Cat 1, but you know, I mean, the people down there are going to be struggling. If your power's out and you're wet, life sucks. And I hope that hopefully each one of these things should bring a few more people into understanding how important preparedness is. And I know the people in Florida, just like everybody on the Gulf Coast, you know, they don't like to leave. They like to ride them out and have their hurricane parties and everything like that. And I understand that to an extent, and this was just a Cat 1, so, you know, they don't want to leave their houses open to looters and things like that. But everybody trying to clean out their wet houses and get the gators and the snakes out of them. Thinking about you all down there. So that's taking people's mind off of that, of other things. Chuckles Harris is supposed to announce her running mate in the next, either today or tomorrow, sometime like that. What that's going to be, everybody has. I had a friend of mine who thought that it might be. Well, I won't say because that takes us into down a rabbit hole, but I don't want to go. But we will see what that's about. You know, if they're talking about Shapiro up in Pennsylvania as a way to get Pennsylvania, but then that, because he's Jewish, that has the potential of costing her the Palestinian vote. Who would have ever thought there was a Palestinian vote in the United States? It's not something that I would have ever thought about. 30, 40 years ago, but look how things are going. We're headed up to Minnesota in a couple of days. Now, any burglars that are out there watching this, don't worry. I always have people staying in my house while we're gone, plus my big mean dog. But we're headed up there, and the last time I was up in Minnesota, went to a Walmart in St. Cloud, and I thought I was in Mogadishu. So I'll be interested to see what things look like up there. So she's supposed to announce that. I can't see it being Shapiro, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, if you look at that, if you look at the Democrat Party, I mean, it looks like weirdos anyway, right? I mean, no matter who it is, it's just weird, 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 weird. So we got those four things going on, but the main thing, of course, is going to be war and financial. Is it going to be a collapse? Is it going to be a slide? And at what point do you consider it a slide? That a slide becomes a collapse, and that has to do with how it affects you, right? It's like the old saying, it's a recession when it affects your neighbor. It's a depression when it affects you, right? When your neighbor loses his job or when you lose your job. And we're seeing jobs going away. Interestingly enough, I see a lot of companies are now replacing their robots, their self-checkouts and such as that with people again. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad. Our McDonald's stopped using the computer voice to take my order. Not that I go to McDonald's that much. And now they're putting people back in, which I guess it creates a job, but also my orders are wrong again now. So, and our local grocery stores around here took out the self-checkout lanes because people are stealing too much. I mean, good grief. And so that creates some jobs, but those are very low-paying jobs, and that's not really what drives the economy. So we're seeing a real challenge on this, and the extent to which the economy continues to go. I've mentioned before. Don't worry. I'm not going to make this all about the economy, but the problems that we've seen in commercial real estate are just that bubble is getting ready to bust, and when it explodes, it's going to have ramifications across the entire economic landscape. We're also seeing a softening of the residential real estate market. For those of you who have been waiting and waiting and waiting, waiting to buy, another place, a second home, a lake home, or something like that, hang on a little bit longer because those prices are coming down. Now, the thing is it's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to hurt a lot of people as real estate values decrease. If you'll remember back in 2008, a lot of people were underwater. They had houses that they had bought for $600,000 out in California, and the crash came, and now they're sitting in a house that's valued at $150,000. And they are $450,000 underwater. A lot of people abandoned their houses there because they're still making payments on $600,000, and they're living in a $150,000 valued house. Could that happen again? Yeah, it could. It could happen again. Will it happen again? There's no way to tell at this point. These things they follow a trajectory. And and they can continue on a gradual level, or they can just drop. And as has happened in the past, when different things come together, and you have a softening of the markets, a correction, they're looking at a correction level event in the stock market, which means a drop, a significant drop. We'll see what happens today and where it closes. That sometimes, did you see I think of the Nikkei, which is the Japanese market, they lost, good grief. The number's not coming to me. I'll just say a bunch. And the South Korean markets stopped trading because of the losses, and they stopped trading. When these things happen, and they did that because of what they saw coming, what they saw as a result of the American markets on Friday and over the weekend, and what they expect to happen today. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And don't forget about the Middle East. If war starts in a big way over there, is it going to be the start of World War III? I know that when I look at so many of and I see a lot on the internet, and it's not just YouTube. It's the way that news outlets say they appeal to people, just like the thumbnail that I will make for this. You try to get people to watch your stuff, to read your stuff, and so you want something that will grab. And a boring headline grabs nobody, right? But I see a lot of people have been putting out videos over the weekend. I didn't do any because it's been a big birthday weekend here at the house, about World War III starting. Is it? Well, it may be. It might be. And it might not be. But what happens with Iran and Israel? Now, we're apparently we have a bunch of carrier groups over there. We're sending more assets over there. This could be it. This could be what's been building up. No, I don't believe this. For those who ask, and I have a number of people who ask, I do not believe this is so-called Armageddon. I do not believe this is biblical. I know a lot of people are out there saying that they think this is. I see no reason to see that, to believe that. Okay, and I know people will say, but these are the signs of the end times. Signs of the end times have been out there ever since the resurrection, and what's going on right now is not really that much different than what has happened before. But it's all about Israel. Settle down. If you've read the Old Testament, do you realize how many times Israel has been spanked by the Lord because they've turned away from Him? This could be just the latest spanking. We don't know. And besides that, ask yourself this question, a question that I won't answer for you. You just think about it. Is the nation of Israel the same as the state of Israel? You be the judge. Okay. But getting back to that, what's going to happen there? Yeah, it could flash. And if nukes are introduced into this fight, which they very possibly could be, boy, that's the starting gun of something, And there's no way to know how that's going to develop. We just know that dangerous times are ahead. As far as Russia, Ukraine, they're seeing the instability. That little moron that runs Ukraine over there, the little high-heeled dancer that's come over here so often and bullied us and criticized us for not giving him enough money, as much as he wants, to protect his thoroughly corrupt country, the center of human trafficking, money laundering, and biolabs. You all remember that, right? And of course, the Biden's good buddies, Hunter, Burisma, all that. Is that going to under as the attention is over on Israel and Iran? Are major moves going to be made now in the Russia-Ukraine situation? Very possibly. I mean, Putin's a smart guy. He sees first off the weakness of Biden-Harris, and if he wants to get some stuff done, he also sees the very great possibility of a change in leadership here. And he would want to get stuff done before that change happens. And so while the whole world and the incompetent leadership of our country is focused on Iran and Israel, it would make sense to me for him to make his move, for Putin to make his move over there in Ukraine. Would that escalate? what is Ukraine going to do? They had this story about how they took out one of the Russia's subs. I don't believe anything that I hear about coming out of that, because our leadership, our side, our press, they're so in love with Ukraine that they will put out anything, truth, lies, somewhere in between, that paints Ukraine in a good light, and they'll put out anything that paints Russia in a bad light. So, I don't pay attention to that too much. The thing to concern us today with all of these things coming is our personal preparedness stance. And this is what I hammer on every time I make one of these videos. And that is, no matter what happens in the world, you need to be prepared. Staying in the eye of the hurricane. The world is always going to be a hurricane. Okay, it always has been, and it always will be. And people who think that things are worse now than they've ever been just don't know their history. This is a continuing process of human insanity. Okay. Now, is it important? Yeah, it's important because it affects how you live. It affects the lives of people. There's going to be a lot of people lose their lives as a result of this. There's going to be a lot of people who lose their financial stability as a result of what's happening in the markets, which can be driven by war. So yeah, it's not unimportant on the individual level, but it is just business as usual on the world stage. I mean, the history of the world. Somebody said something like this, and I forget who said it. I won't quote it exactly. And if I knew who had said it, I would give them credit, but I don't. And that is, the history of the world is a history of wars with occasional pauses of peace. So, people have a tendency to get all upset about the latest war, and they do that because the media pushes it. Politics pushes it. They want people to be upset. They want to get people acting in certain ways, voting in certain ways, and that's the way to do it, out of fear. And that's the way you drive any group of unthinking people, is through fear. So, but if you are a PMP, preparedness-minded person, and if you're new to the channel, I hate the word prepper. Although I occasionally use it, it's just because that's what everybody, is comfortable saying. I prefer a PMP, a preparedness-minded person. If you are a preparedness-minded person, that means that you're a person who understands that the world can be a crazy place, an insecure place, and it's up to you to provide the security for you and your family. Okay, it's not up to the government's not going to do it. Social services isn't going to do it. Your neighbors aren't going to do it. Well, if you've got good neighbors, you can work together with them. But it's up to you. It's up to each of us individually, each family, each building block, each person, to do the things that they should, not just can, but that they should, if they have any understanding about the instability of the world, in order to create the stability they need to continue to build and prosper as a person, as a family, as a group, as a community. And so those things are up to you. And that's always my message here. I'm going to make one probably in the next few days. I don't know. I'm going to start on my, because people have kept asking me about, show us your bag system. And I've mentioned, I never make videos about go bags or get home bags or anything like that. But I do have a bag system that I've talked about in my book series. And I talk about my JIC bag, just in case, JIC. I don't call it a bug out bag or get home bag, anything like that. It's a just in case. And so I'm going to start making those. I have a 4-bag system. I have a body bag, a grab bag, a JIC bag, and an inch bag. I'm never coming home, right? That kind of thing. I talk about them in my books. But I'll probably start making a few videos on those. But those are small things that go into being able to be prepared to respond quickly and effectively to the problems. The overarching interest, or should be your overarching interest, in the thing to which you give 95% of your mental energy and attention, is being ready for it, understanding that the world is an uncertain place, that instability surrounds you, that the stability that you are going to have is going to be as a result of what you have done to create that stability, and get at it. Get at it with all those things that you know. If you've watched any number of preparedness videos from any channel around, you know that it's all about food, water, shelter, protection, people, all that. I mean, I know that a lot of people, when they're first getting into preparedness, are all into those things. But once you understand that, I mean, just do it. And what I try to explain to people is they need to get beyond the physical preparations. They need to do that automatically. You should do all of it. Okay. But get beyond that and tune yourself in to what's going on in the world, and get yourself mindful that you may have to implement your preparedness plans, because everything could fall apart. And so you want to always be operating in that mindset. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. Continue to prepare. And people ask how long. I always say 7 years. Be able to be independent from external systems for 7 years. Why, Steve? Why would you do that? Well, I'll tell you why. I wrote a series of books for you who may not know, and I always love it because sometimes when I show my books, I'll get people saying, "I read those books. I love those books. I didn't know you wrote those books," and that's kind of cool. Yes, I did. I'm the guy that wrote the Stonemont series. Okay, and here they are in my series of books, and I call it the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. Okay, it's the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, hostages to fortune, and the latest one, the 7th book of this series, On Wings Like Eagles. And On Wings Like Eagles has just set another record over the weekend for paperbacks from me on Amazon. Now, it doesn't mean it's set all over Amazon, but for my books since the first one came out in 2017, this just set a weekend record, and people are like, and you learn something from it. And the way that I approach preparedness is not out of fear, but out of hope. You want to prepare so that you continue to live a high quality, or as high a quality as possible, life, no matter what happens. Okay. If you haven't read them, I would suggest you do if you have a real interest in preparedness. You can get them on Amazon, and I put the link down below. They get them to you fast, or you can get them from me personally, and you get them through our website, stonemont.us, and that's also down below. I get them to you more slowly because I run out, and as a matter of fact, I just ran out again. I thought I had more than enough. People keep buying them. Thank you so much, by the way. They're getting hard to hold in just one hand now. But then I have to put in another big order today, and then I have to wait for it for 2 weeks. And when they come in, then I send those out. But if you get them from me as a set, we have a one-click option, and you can buy the whole set at a nice discount. And when you do that, and I get to sign them for you. That's the thing. If you get them from me, I get to sign them. Amazon gets them to you fast, and you can get them in paperback or Kindle or Audible. Now, I can't do the Kindle or Audible. I can just do the paperback. But if you order them from me, then I get to sign them for you and write a little note to you. And I love doing that because I love my relationship with my readers. But if you do get the whole set to the one click, we toss in the Stonemont notebook, which is kind of cool that people love. And that's, I tell you what, that not only will you love the story, you'll love the characters, you'll love the people in it, but you will learn more than you can imagine. And I'm not shy about saying it. I've had other people say it, and that's why I wrote them, right? To entertain, but also to prepare. And also on the websites where you get our mugs, and we have a bunch of mugs, and they just sell like hotcakes, and T-shirts and other things. So visit us there. But the message today is we have a lot of things going on. The impending war, the economic Is it going to be a crash? Is it going to be a collapse? Is it simply going to be a continued softening in the markets, which is going to hurt a lot of people? It's going to help a lot of people because if you're not in the market and you've been holding cash, like Buffett is getting more cash out, you do that, and that's kind of what I did. I wait for things to go down until they're a good buy, and the reason the market has been going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, kind of like real estate, is that people kept buying as it went up. You don't buy as things go up. That's you buy when things go down anyway. But think about it. Be ready for it. Pay attention to what's going on. Continue to prepare. Top off your tanks because if this sets off in the Middle East, the price of oil, which is right now, I think it's, what is it, $72 a barrel, which isn't bad. But it should go. It should be down around 30. Yeah. But it could go back up over 100. And all of a sudden, you're paying over $5 a gallon again. So keep your tanks topped off. Make that the last stop you make of the day. Top it off. And especially for you people that live rurally, you use a lot more gas than we who live in the suburbs or the city. So make sure that the tank is topped off, and store some. Store as much as you can. I would suggest. Gas prices are, well, they're good for Biden prices. They're not near like they were at under Trump, but they're $1 higher than under Trump. But they're also $1 or $2 less than they're gonna be if war starts in the Middle East. So top it off, store some, and continue prepping. All right. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'm going to go back and continue monitoring the news because it's going to be an interesting day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.